Hello, hello. Hello, happy Thursday, August 20th, 2026. This is going to be a lightweight do not poo poo this. Maybe we'll make it a full do not poo poo this security alert. And I'm going to only talk for half an hour because that's all I have before I have to rush off to work at 8:45. And it's this was the last. And if I have time, I don't think I have time. I'm going to clear all these by tonight and tomorrow. All these panels are going to be cleared, so it's going to be either all tonight, which I doubt I'm going to be able to do in half an hour, or tonight is the do not poo poo this, and then tomorrow I'll do court filing stuff. Half of this is court filing stuff. So do not poo poo this security alert stems from my last video, which was watch your flank on these three things, boo, in case things go sideways with my corruption lawsuits. That was you, and in that video, I did a couple things that almost said I'm more worried about me and my family and my kids. And one of the things that I was worried about, and I even worried about this in like a couple months ago in a video. I said, you want me to talk about my daughter? I'm not sure. There's some things I don't want to talk about, I'm not comfortable with quite yet. And at the time, the reason I didn't mention those things is because it was mostly, if anything happened, it would be mostly pharmaceutical swamp stuff. And at the time, the pharmaceutical swamp was not in power. It was mostly things I was worried about was Kelly Clarkson, because that's tobacco swamp stuff. I was worried about a shooting, actually, or something like that happening to her at the Caesar's Palace or at The Voice. This is mostly tobacco swamp kind of things in my view. It's a little bit of all the swamps, but it's mostly tobacco swamp, and I was mostly worried about that. But now, that was before, and we'll go over, actually, before we do anything, when I talk about the swamps. We haven't done this for a while. Let's do it. We're going to do a quick swamp stock look over. There's the Dow. That's the Dow today. A lot of times when the Dow goes down by a lot, lately it's been the swamps selling their portion of the Dow to keep their swamp stocks up and afloat. And so today I figured, okay, who's I think it might be MO. We'll see. The best days are when all the stocks are down, because that meant that that's just bad news for all the swamp stocks because they go down a lot. But now we're going to look at Altria, which is the stock I'm mostly worried about for the tobacco swamp. And yes, they did go up a lot. So on the days where the Dow goes down a lot, and then all of a sudden this tobacco swamp stock, which recently imploded actually, is going up a lot, that's a good sign in a way. It means they're selling the stock, the good stock. Dow is good stock. Buy that. I mean, if you guys are worried about stocks, just buy Dow and ignore it. Buy Dow, buy Dow, buy Dow, period, and ignore everything else. But so they had to sell their good Dow stock because Dow's just going up. It's never going down. I mean, it's going to go down a little bit, but it's always just going to keep going up over the next forever. But they sold that to keep their stock afloat, and it's because it recently imploded. So in a previous video, I was saying this stock needs to go down. It's going to. It's just like the last one resisting. Let's do this. All right, it's the last resistance. It's got to go down to this line. Okay, all this stuff is fraud, corruption, money going to Congress that goes into the stock and then they sell it and buy it, whatever it is. It's just corruption. And these guys are bad news. They are probably at the forefront of all the infantophile stuff. They are probably at the forefront of all the mass shootings, which haven't occurred in a long time. So they're running out of money and getting desperate. But yeah, so that's a good sign that they're finally starting to implode, as I said they would. I said they're going to. I'm just not sure when. And of course, we have to factor into this all of the effects that Trump has, whatever he decides is going to happen as well. He's got some control over how this implodes. But I was saying this is having a hard time getting this thing to implode. Like, good Lord. I mean, remember, I've been trolling them a long ass time. Well, whatever. Like, okay, so I have like, I mean, I've always attributed the implosion of the Marlboro Altria stock to Trump coming in 2016. It was one of the first swamps that started to implode. I thought that was the end of it, but then they've recovered recently since Biden. I say mostly Kamala. Kamala Harris came in, and I call her Tobacco Obama and Tobacco Harris. But it's not anything new for me. I've been posting this kind of stuff and trolling them and saying crap against them for like way back here. Like, I think I have another one where I was saying way back in 2016, 17, I was going into all the Walgreens and taking pictures of their illegal cigarette ads targeting kids at the POS, the point of sale, and said, you're going, this is swampy, swamp. And then they went out of business. That was a pretty good prediction too. Anyway, I had some pretty good swamp predictions in the past, but I mean, I don't know, whatever. I'm just saying it's a long history with me and tobacco, and me and pharmaceutical, and me and all the swamps. But I'm really happy to see them finally imploding for a second time. Oh, well, I've been trolling. Okay. What are we doing? So, yeah, okay. See here what happened. What that picture was taken right here around in 2020. That one, like early 2020, when the fake pandemic, and then there was a little bit of recovery, and then nothing, and then on April 24th, 2025, the tobacco swamp teamed up with the defense contractor swamp and took a whole ton of money from Ukraine money to get the stock going up again, and now that's finally imploding now. So, and one thing I was saying was, remember I said this is Trump because he always 74.55, it's the 0.55, and then over here there's like a 0.66. Which one is this one? 0.66. I was having a crack up, and they were just trying, and I didn't have a chance to troll them. Usually when they're going like this and I'm saying you're going to implode, what I'll do is I'll troll them, and I'll say I'll say something like, okay, if you want a high risk, high reward bet, short T-Mobile US. That's the religion swamp stock. Nobody there can open their mouths without lying. Good Lord, so scammy. Never seen anything like it. So usually when I get a flagship stock, it's just almost personal, like my personal observation of like the Marlboro ads for the tobacco swamp at Walgreens or things like that. And when that happened with me at T-Mobile, where I was there for 6 years, and all of a sudden there's gay guys on the phone, they're being assholes, and they're like nickel and diming me and doing all this shit, and I just said on December 6th, I said they are swampy, and I figured out it was a religion swamp when I went back and looked at all the telecom stocks. So I made them my flagship stock, and I said short them, and of course that's when they started to go down, and then I would troll them after that. I would often troll them. I would say, hey, gay Nazi swamp a-holes. This was in January. At T-Mobile, who left my daughter stranded in Europe on December 15th. That was December 6th, I think. What was this? Yeah, December 6th. And then right after that, they started to tank. Right after December 6th, they started to tank. And I said, how's that been working out for you, a-holes? And I troll them. And I troll Pfizer, and I troll all these guys. And I haven't been able to do that with Altria. Maybe it's a little bit, maybe I just had a lot to do with my lawsuit and stuff, and it was just a bit much at that point. I trolled them a little bit online at work, just the tobacco swamp in general. But yeah, so here's the graph, and here I am on December 17th, I think. Yeah, trolling them. I said, here's my advice: short T-Mobile. Look at that. And I was like, this is all on Twitter, and I would Hefty, this is when I was doing it at work. So whatever that day is, just find out when Hefty was the Wordle, and I was making videos at work. This is in December of 2024, and and I also was trolling Comcast at that time because they're tobacco swamp, and really there are a lot of swampy stuff. And I would say, what's it going to be, Comcast, red line or black line? And of course, they didn't pay attention to me, and they didn't, you know, they just kept acting like fucking asshole pieces of fucking shit. I guess, God, toward Kelly. You know, I mean, they had some good people there at her show, but in all, they're a bunch of fucking. I was so glad when they finally, and I'm also glad they're tanking. I was always rooting for them and saying, "Come on, let's balance and all this." But I'm glad they finally fucking like they did the red line, and now they're at Trump's mercy. And Trump, you could fuck like I think Kelly is done now. Oh no, she still has to film some voice stuff. Never mind. I think there's some live shows coming up in November, December, so she's still there. She's still connected, but they didn't schedule her for the next season. So maybe she's finally after that done, and it'll be after the election, so maybe it'll be safe. But I just can't wait for her to be completely severed from these pieces of shit. I just like, I mean, I used to cheer for them, and now I'm just like, just the way they've been ever since. And this is like 2 years ago. I'm telling them, stop making her do tobacco ads, stop making her do, and stop the infantipoide stuff, and stop all this. And they just kept going. And I just said, okay, whatever. They didn't clear the swamp out fast enough, is what I'm saying. And now they're at the mercy of Trump. So they followed the red line. I don't care about them anymore. I don't know why I'm doing all this. I need to get rid of this stuff. Is why. I don't know why I'm doing this. Okay, well, might as well, let's just do this. Let's just do this one, and then we'll get rid of all the stock stuff. So, just to give you, anyway, a lot of it is a mixture of my like the swamp stuff I do, I'm just predicting, and some of it is luck, and some of it is Trump actually following me and giving me credit, maybe, or it could just be I'm on the money with a lot of the swamp stuff. But if you look at, for instance, the Dow, this is just for credibility, you guys. When I talk about how I look at all the stocks, let's just do this one. This is like the last thing I wanted to do, but we'll do it first, and then we'll end on a strong do not poo-poo this, because I want credibility going into the do not poo-poo this. Okay, like real credibility. Okay, so this is the Dow, and when we look at the Dow, you'll say, wow, what is this? What is this going on here? That was during the fake pandemic Holocaust. And what was that day? What was the lowest point the Dow reached? Well, if you could see when I'm doing my little, I have my theories that it was manipulated. I knew that, and I was predicting that whole time. I said, this is just baloney. This is a fake pandemic. It was also reaching a minimum that you can manipulate the Dow. You can manipulate some things only up to a certain point. You can't manipulate that. It's just that you can't do it. You can't manipulate capitalism beyond a certain point. So maybe the Dow needed to go down. I don't think it did, but it was just trying to get Trump in trouble so that he couldn't be reelected. Trying to get Trump in trouble because he's killing Pfizer. Okay, that's the next. Let's see what they're doing. So in 2020, like Trump took care of, you saw him, he took care of the tobacco swamp immediately when he came in. And then he took care of some other swamp, and then he started to take care of Pfizer, the pharmaceutical swamp, around 2018, 2019. Look at the stock going down. Boom, boom, boom. That's that's called the controlled implosion. You saw it happen on, when it goes up, when it goes down. They're making money the whole way down. That's a controlled implosion, and they were heading toward their line. They were heading toward their swamp line. This one. Okay, that's where they were heading back in 2020, and then they really threw the fake pandemic Holocaust at Trump, and then they got a bunch of money for Congress to go back, and now they're finally here. But it took a while for him to kill that swamp. So Pfizer and I've been trolling them a long time too. Where is it? Like, where was I trolling them? Did I do it? Like right here. So like been close to a year now since 350 million Americans have been wearing muzzles. Hope it's well documented because I guarantee 100 years from now, school kids aren't going to believe one pharma swamp puppet, Fauci, successfully ordered 350 million Americans to wear muzzles for a full year. Now, I posted that in April. We were still wearing muzzles a year after that. It was 2 years, 2.5 years of this baloney. And then in September, we were doing the okay, let's just get on with this. We were doing the vaccine passports. We were doing the tests and all that stuff. I went through my old photos and I'm bringing up stuff that I just want to point out that I've been trolling all these swamps a very long time. That one way back since 1994, but we won't go into that. So credibility. You saw me draw that line and you saw what's going on here. Well, what happened on that day is I predicted the lowest point in the Dow to the minute sitting in my truck. And I don't have that tweet. But on March 23rd, 2020, I took a screenshot there and I was on a load. I worked for Legend as a truck driver at the time, and I was on a load from Rancho Cucamonga, California to Spokane. Now I did some local deliveries real fast before I picked up my load on the 22nd, and I had my choice of heading out to either direction. Like, what was I gonna do? I was gonna go. You could go up to Seattle in many ways, but I decided since my 34-hour reset was coming up that night, I was just gonna come up here because it's just more scenic, and I like this. I didn't want to spend my 34-hour reset on the 5. So I headed north, and where I ended up on the 22nd on the evening was Bishop. Some of you may know Bishop. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just want to show credibility. I don't know why. I did this on the freaking 23rd. It's not a big deal. And a lot of it could be like here I was. There's a place in Bishop that I like to stop. And there are my Vons. Me and my Vons. And of course the grocery outlet. So right here on Y Road was where I... Okay, this is Bishop, and some of you... Anyway, that's where I was in my truck on my 34-hour reset on the 23rd when I woke up and decided to look at the stock market. And also another thing I was doing at the time was I was checking out all the grocery store, because I was delivering toilet paper is what I was doing. But I was checking out all the grocery things and taking pictures. That's the bargain market one. I don't have bonds here. I don't know why. But I was just reporting on it and showing places where there was toilet paper, where there wasn't toilet paper, and just really making a big deal about the stupid fake pandemic. I was fighting this all the way from the very beginning, predicting it. But anyway, on March 23rd, and the reason I remember as well is that's my late sister's birthday, March 23rd. I looked at the stock market. I said, this is baloney. It can't go down much further. I was thinking that on the 20th and around there. But when I was on my 34-hour reset, sitting in my truck, it's 11:47 p.m., 11:47 a.m. Pacific time, 2:45 p.m. was the graph, and that's Eastern time. I looked at it, you could see it's still going. Now it's very confusing because up here it says 11:47 and here it says 11:45, but this was 3 hours. It just looks the same, but it's not the same time. This is a 3-hour difference. When I came up to here, I found the low. The low was 18.22 of the day, 225.94 at 11:45 a.m. And because it was 11, which is my number, and 45, which is Trump, I said, oh, well, that's the low forever. It's never going to be this low again. We're done with the fake pandemic. We're done with this bullshit. It's going to bounce, and it's never coming down to this level again, forever. And I wrote something on Twitter. I said, I wish I had even $100 to invest in the Dow right now at 11:45 a.m. So, and that turns out to have been the absolute low on the 23rd of the Dow that you see on all these graphs. So I think it comes in 5 minute marks, but to the minute I didn't predict it ahead of time, but within the same day, within hours, I said that was the low earlier. You guys just saw the low, buy it now. And the 19137, the 19173 was the previous close. It's not a close here. So anyway, I'm just giving credibility. I'm very proud of that. And it could have been Trump making sure that I had, but it was really, according to my graphs, according to everything, that was enough. That was pretty brave when everybody thought it was the end of the world. And here I am in my little truck on my 34-hour reset, taking a little picture saying, this is it. Now, you could always go back and say, well, all the times I was wrong. I don't know, there were a couple, but, not as much as I was right. And that was a pretty big one to be right on. And I didn't guess all the time either. So I wanted to say, I'm trying to get rid of all that. But before I did that, the reason I like the Bishop, and it just brings a lot of memories, is when you're a kid living in Southern California and you're going to go up. We always used to go up to Yosemite every summer for a couple of summers, not all the time, but it was a huge deal. Like, it was like a week off. My mom would be off and my dad would take a week off from work, or 10 days or whatever it was. 2 cars going up with the whole family and a couple of friends, and no, you stop in Bishop you stop in Bishop, and then in Bishop is where and also if you're going up to Mammoth to do skiing and stuff, Bishop is just a lot of people from Southern California know Bishop because it's just before you take off. You're on the 395, and then instead of going up to the right to go that way, you come up toward Mammoth Lakes, and it starts to get snowy after this. And then if you're going on forward, you go to Yosemite from here. So Bishop has a great memory for me because you're either coming back cold and wet and stopping, or you're excited and you're heading up, getting supplies to go up, and car trouble and all sorts of stuff. But recently, I was when I worked over here. For Kenco in San Francisco, I got a load to deliver a stretcher to Yosemite Valley. There's a medical facility there, and they needed a stretcher. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm gonna have to spend the night and prepare to do an overnight there, and all this stuff. I was thinking in my brain, and then I get there, and I had other deliveries that day because I got there within a couple of hours. And I drive into the valley in my truck, just get in there, deliver this stretcher, and the valley is beautiful, and I'm looking around at all these old things. The last time I was there, I think I was a little kid, and I was just amazed, and then I just left the park and did other deliveries, and I felt so, it just was, I don't know, sometimes I wish that never happened because it really popped the bubble at the same time I kind of grew up. And that's all I wanted to say. I don't know why. I just been trying to get rid of this panel for like 2 months, it feels like. And I never had time because I wanted to say that about that because it's for me as well as anybody else. It's just a memory I had. But it felt weird that day when I was within a day and I'm back home within a day. Like, oh yeah, I just went to Yosemite today and I'm back and I did other deliveries along the way. And it was nice to go there, but it just felt so, I don't know. Okay, I'm still having mixed feelings about that day. I mean, you grow up and logically, if you think about it, yeah, I could go there in a day and back. But for some reason, I never thought of Yosemite that way. It was always a faraway land. It's always very magical. So I got to say goodbye to that. I hate saying goodbye to that, and I'm there in Bishop. Anyway, just give me a little bit of credibility when I do my do not poo-poo this based on stocks is what I'm saying. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this one. Bye. I wish I could find that tweet too, but I don't have it. T-Mobile on that day, stocking them, I predicted, and Comcast. I'm so. Okay, we're gonna say goodbye to everybody. We're gonna say goodbye. Okay, we're gonna come back to you. So let's get back to our stocks. So let's do it really fast. Let's see how they're doing lately. They seem to be recovering lately. So this is where I said, you guys, and then after I said that, and I started to brag, and they really spent a lot of money to get it back up above here, and I was teasing them, you can't do it. And then I thought, maybe I was wrong, but then since then they've imploded. So I'm glad, I like to needle them, because when I needle them, I think they spend a lot of money to get the stock up, and then it just, do you know that's a song? Reba just came out with a song called Ring Ring. Crack me up. It's a great song, but and then she's in jail, and I was like, "What are you singing this to me?" But yeah, it's a cute song. It's funny. I like her humor songs, and she has a video for it, and it's Ring Ring. And I said, "Hey, my phone is very okay." So yeah, so I'm not sure how much of that is me or how much of it is Trump, but it's a swamp stock, and it is at it's imploded, but I think it's going to now survive. And remember, at first I was going, did it? Yeah, it did burst that bubble, and I think it's around here. I think it's going to be okay now. I think so. That's the religion swamp, and then we have the airline index. That's another one that went down a lot today. So the bad guys, the tobacco swamp, sold a lot of their Dow, and they sold a lot of their airline stock. Okay, we're just going to do this real fast. They are doing okay, but they were starting to go up a little bit too high, so they needed to come down, and that's good. Okay, they need to come down now. That's enough. They're high flying. They're never going to be this. They're never going to be this swampy again. Remember, they're going to follow this line, and that's the line they're following. And they came down a lot today, and that's mostly swamp people in Congress and people, to get money to buy to keep Altria afloat. Altria is done. I keep saying that. They've imploded now, and they're on their way down. And then of course the infantophile swamp is this one. General Mills, I have no idea. They're beyond imploded, so they could just, I don't know. They're at Trump's mercy. They are at Trump's mercy. They passed that line. Like, I thought they were going to bounce here. They didn't. They're bouncing a little bit, but infantophile swamp, you could just suck it. You could do whatever you want. I don't care. So those are the swamps. And the reason I said before I didn't care about doing a do not poo-poo this for my daughter was because it's a problem with her boyfriend, who I believe is closeted gay, and he's half Filipino and half white, and he was starting to get, or he had some kind of an addiction to the nasal sprays, I guess, or something like that. And it just seemed kind of odd. And then he was having mental problems to the point where she had to report him to the campus police. And then I'm thinking, okay, this is pharmaceutical swamp getting around my daughter in a way. So to plan or to possibly have a kind of a shooting of some kind and blame it on him, kill him and say he did it and say it was a mental thing. That's a pharmaceutical swamp kind of thing. Or shoot up her lab because her lab principal investigator, redheaded, closeted gay. Mitch is the name of her ex-boyfriend. His roommate, closeted redhead, her PI, closeted gay, redheaded. Mitch's roommate, closeted gay, redheaded, and I believe Jewish too, Mitchell. And it's just too many closeted gay redheads around my daughter, and now you've got this guy having mental things, mental problems apparently, and she has to contact the University of Florida police. And I'm thinking, all right, so the setup is the pharmaceutical swamp in collaboration with whatever, they're not on their own anymore, possibly the tobacco swamp, but they're going to try either a big school shooting and shoot up her whole lab and then kill him and say he did it, and then to say it was all mental and then get into the nasal stuff. They always have a narrative planned ahead of time. But that's before this pharmaceutical swamp. That's when the tobacco swamp was powerful. The pharmaceutical swamp didn't seem like they were able to do anything until now. Okay, now the tobacco swamp has imploded just this last week. It's on its way out. And the pharmaceutical swamp seems to be emerging. Okay, we're talking about Luigi Mangione all over again. Remember that? And now we're talking about Hayden Panettiere, yeah. And her death, and it was all pharmaceutical swamp related. They're talking about her mental health and Neutrogena this and blah 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 and all this narrative stuff. So the pharmaceutical swamp is surging. And now I'm doing a do not poo-poo this about my daughter, because when I was talking about this video last week, where I'm talking about gripe, I mentioned security alert for my daughter and my gay baby daddy, because they're prime witnesses to Jack Strubel's lies. I'm sure he phoned my daughter because she phoned me on December 16th. That's how I found out about all the TMZ stuff. Was my daughter crying, saying, "Well, they're doing this and that," and I'm going, "Well, where did you hear about this?" She wouldn't tell me, but I think that was Jack Strubel telling her about crap, and that's the connection I don't want right now. So she's a witness to something, and so is my gay baby daddy. He's either involved or a witness. And now they killed Brandon, and now I'm worried about Jill. I'm worried about all sorts of stuff while my lawsuit is bubbling up. So during this video, I said I was worried about my gay baby daddy's security and my daughter now and my family. And all of a sudden, my daughter just told me 2 days ago, she says, "Oh, my dad's coming. He's going to stay at the house." And I said, he hasn't been here probably for like a year. And it just seemed too coincidental. He's in town. I said, I don't want to see him. I never see him anyway. And I never worried about this because one of the worries was they kill him. If I'm anywhere near him, they kill him and they say I did it, kill me and kill us all, that kind of thing. And I said, I don't want to be anywhere near him. But now, and that's not going to happen, and it hasn't in the past. In case it happened, I told her up front, I said, I don't want to see him, and it doesn't have anything to do with him. It has to do with I'm feeling kind of paranoid right now that it just doesn't feel right. And I also texted her yesterday, I don't want to do this. I don't want my kids involved. But I just texted her. I said, look, I'm feeling really paranoid. She's got new kittens. The roommate, I forget his name, the redheaded guy, he loves kittens. He's a nice guy and everything. I'm not saying they're not nice. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying these redheads are like, when you say there's a conspiracy, everybody's involved and they all know and then they all get in their place. They have no idea. They just follow what certain people tell them that could give them things they want, like sex, or whatever it is. Okay, and they don't question it. They don't know that it's going to lead to their own death sometimes. Like Mitch, he has no idea that he's going to be walking into a death trap where he's the one who's going to be shot and blamed and said that it was for his mental issues, which are well publicized now. So, her roommate knows about it, and if they kill my daughter and her father, the two witnesses, and then kill him and say he did it, then it's all... So that's what I'm afraid of this weekend happening while her father is visiting. And I said, don't tell the roommate that she's still contacting. She had to put up security around her house. She broke up with him and he just kept coming back and having all sorts of problems and giving her problems that I just did not like. And Mitch, if you're out there, you come near her. And you probably, if you're being told or pressured or something to come near her this weekend or do whatever it is because of some other reason, the reason is you're probably going to be shot and blamed for shooting her and everybody else. So don't come near her. Okay, don't be an idiot. And do whatever these people. It's not like you're not planning to do it, but somebody else is planning on it. Okay, so anyway, and I said keep him away in case there's anyway. That's what the do not poo-poo this is, okay? And I hate doing this because it makes me feel paranoid, and then if I'm wrong, I'm happy, yet it looks like it's a horrible position for me to be in, but I don't care anymore. I always put the do not poo-poo this up, and I just did because of the Panettiere, which was, and then, let's just go through the Panettiere stuff real fast, and then I have to go, guys. So, when this happens, I'm thinking, okay, so during this video, if you remember, I said we're looking out for something going down in Nashville, Starstruck Entertainment. We're looking for single mothers of kids who aren't married, and that's Panettiere. And we're looking for, and I was saying all this, and we're looking for, an attempt to get at their money through probate. And that's what happened here. People Magazine is talking about her probate stuff, and she's going to be probated in LA, which is where all this stuff is. And now it's starting to look a little bit too much planned. Like when I was having fits about the tree lighting in December of 2024, I said, it just doesn't feel right. Kelly's at that thing. There's going to be a shooting. And I don't always do that. I just had very bad vibes. Trump did a fake killing of a CEO of a pharmaceutical company that morning December 6th. You guys remember that? It was like that morning. Thank goodness. Where is it? Anyway, it was like, oh, and then also another thing that happened last week was the Wordle was geoed. And that's like the only Wordle I don't think I've ever had a Wordle where I am just completely clueless. Like, what the hell? I couldn't even do a remote, I couldn't even remotely figure out what this might be. And then I looked up Geode, and there's a Geode Health, and it provides outpatient mental health services for adults and children. Now, this was last Friday, and it was like, okay, we're into the mental health. Tobacco swamp has imploded through the Altria stock, and now pharmaceutical swamp seems to be making a bit of a resurgence. So anyway, let's just watch out for pharmaceutical stuff. So I always identify the gay guy around the murder. So I needed to figure out if Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend.
Good. That's actually what I was expecting from you. You don't like the sport because it's probably too brutal. And sometimes, could get a little bloody. As red as your dress. Which is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Okay, not gay, very charming. He is Trump loves this guy. He's huge, he's a big wrestler. His brother is the mayor of Kiev in Ukraine. The daughter isn't with Hayden, she's in Ukraine with the father. It just feels very Trump planned. So I have decided the reason I'm teetering on doing the do not poo-poo this is I think my daughter is in safe hands. I think Trump faked this because I just feeling very tense about my daughter and bad vibes just like before. And when I get those, he always does something like this to just dissipate the pressure and dissipate the security. But I'm still, in case you guys forgot, there's still my daughter here. I mean, now this dissipated some stuff, maybe with Kelly or people in Nashville or some celebrities. But I'm saying, okay, now whoever's doing that, if that's what's going on, just don't forget my daughter here this weekend, and her dad's visiting. In case you guys didn't know, and it's not normal that he visits like this, and it's just at the very, very odd time, and I'm just worried about Mitch. Okay, so he's not gay. And then the People magazine, of course, immediately comes up with what's going to happen with all her money. So they're talking to lawyers who are in LA, and they're going to say it might be probated in LA, of course. There's nothing worse than probate court except family court. Probate court has to exist, though. At least family court, we can get rid of it completely with just contract law. But probate court has to exist. So I looked up, and I said, okay, we've got some probably gay attorneys here. So I looked up who are mentioned. Mark M. Stern. And what I got was this thing. Like, has anybody ever seen a more honest and trustworthy face of a lawyer in your life? My God, this guy must be. I mean, he's either a good actor. I think he's Jewish too. But I mean, no, not gay. Very trustworthy. Just from the picture. They must be very good at it, or he is just what he looks like. A very trustworthy, not gay person. So this could be Trump. So then the next guy on the list, okay, I'm going to do Jonathan Foster. Okay, so we got to get rid of this. Just trustworthy. I don't know what else to say. This guy also, I wish I couldn't find videos of these guys. I'm going to say not gay and also trustworthy, but maybe they're very good at doing pictures. So this is the only one right here that I found a video for, Jordan Matthews. And the video, when I looked at his picture, I said, oh no, a redheaded blue-eyed guy who looks like he might be gay in this picture. I said, this is the gay guy. This is the guy behind a lot of this stuff if there's a real murder.
I'm not very judgmental, but when she realized that I was serious, she gave me this look. And I don't know that it probably wasn't intentional. It wasn't something that was very common.
I cannot figure, on the fence, I cannot figure this out. On the fence with this guy. At first I was just saying, no, not gay. And then, I don't know, guys, I can't help you on that one. All right, so we're going to get rid of the People, talking about her inheritance and where her money's going. That's so Trump. Trump is now in the middle of LA, and it could be after that guy or something's going on. But I have decided to say that Trump is on top of this. It's a fake death. She's in Ukraine right now with her daughter. It has to do with Ukraine stuff. It has to do with defense contractor stuff. but it's still pharmaceutical swamp stuff. I don't know about that guy. And then, what else? Okay, so we're gonna go through law school stuff, lawsuit stuff later. And then all this stuff later. Bye, I gotta go. Do not poo-poo this. It's for my daughter this weekend. Please, 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 please get on top of that. The Hayden Panettiere, I've decided, is a Trump plot to dissipate a lot of threats I was feeling, and it has, but maybe not for my daughter, but just to put icing on the cake. And it's to put some stuff in the middle of LA probate court stuff. That's all related to my court stuff going on, and we'll get to that later. Okay, bye. I got to get out of here. I got to work. Got to run. It's raining, but I'm going to run. Bye. Hang in there. Everything's going to be okay, everybody. I hope. Crossing my fingers. Godspeed. Onward, Christian soldiers who aren't Christian anymore, and Godspeed to everybody coming out the other side in one piece. PEAC and PIEC. Bye. It's going up right now.